2, 1. Hey folks, welcome to Bouncing Brains. We're recording this on a Friday, which is a bit of a change of pace, so if the vibe seems different, just go with it, man. I am Sean Hatfield.
And I'm Freddy G.
Motherfucker, were you looking for a cue card?
No, why? Sorry. I'm a little off, guys. I'm on 4 hours of sleep. Leave me the fuck alone.
Like somebody gave you a TV gig and just kicked you outside the curtains. You were like, nah, man, I showed up for auditions. Auditions? No, get out there, faggot. Jesus. All right.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
I didn't really like your headphones, but...
Like I said before we started recording, cheap and Chinese, Walmart is your best friend if you have no money. Yeah, actually, these were the first options I was going to go with for the, we haven't even introduced the guests yet, but I'm just going to tell this real quick. These are the first options I went for with the podcasting, because I figured, like, if you're out in public and people, sometimes people see you with a microphone and they're like, what are you doing? But if you just look ostentatious as fuck, my theory was that they'll just leave you alone like a poisonous snake. You know what I'm saying?
You know what your headphones also say loud and clear? Fuck Dr. Dre. That's what they say, bro.
I heard some of those stories.
Anyway, so...
All I know is Nate was straight. Joining us in studio today, in kitchen today, the owners and operators of Stokely's in Edinburg. Wonderful establishment. I've been enjoying it almost since you all have opened. Thanks for coming in, JD and Jessica. I got that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
That's
good.
JD, and that's Jessica. It's 2020. You have to explain that sometimes.
Yeah. There was that one couple from Canada. Mom had a beard. Dad had tits. It was a strange fucking story, man. But hey, the Guinness Book of World Records made some sales off of it. How are y'all doing on a Friday?
We're good.
We're doing all good.
Y'all are surprisingly calm for alcohol establishment owners.
Yeah.
You're
Y'all
breaking
are very
all kinds
chill.
of expectations.
What do you mean? You expected us to be wild or what?
A little bit. Kind of, sort of.
I don't want to overgeneralize, but on that Venn diagram of my typical experience with venue owners, it's either blissfully delusional, which can be fun. This one dude who was a fucking gambler, he owned a bar just so he could drink in it. Whew, good nights. He never remembered my name. Never. Repeated it to him dozens of times. And on the other side of the spectrum, you have, that high-strung kind of, scrounging for fucking pennies after the lights come on at 2 o'clock type of thing. And that's rarely ever any fun. Maybe on their day off, but not on a Friday. Y'all are like zen as fuck right now. I don't know if that's something.
I think it's probably because they're y'all are not really used to the whole. Hey, I'm just curious. Have y'all ever done like interviews for radio or TV?
No.
No. See, maybe that's why.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot for putting one on the spot like that.
Oh, you haven't pictured the dozens of people that are going to listen to this?
So I am very, I've been trying to get y'all on for not a long time, but since we met.
It's been a while, yeah.
Long-time listeners might remember we did a show back in the toy drive with the Edinburg PD at your fine establishment. Y'all motherfuckers didn't show up, and we hate you for it still.
Yeah, for sure.
But we love y'all, and we're glad to have y'all on finally. And,
I was funny, kind of. Anyway, yeah.
Your Trump joke always gets opinions.
Sometimes. Or kicked out. I didn't get kicked out that night. Anyway, so y'all own and run Stokely's. Something that I've been wanting to ask is, for the people that don't know, including myself, how did that idea come, like, how did the idea come about? And, like, did you just wake up one day and you're like, hey, I want to open up a bar? Or how did that happen?
Basically,
shit.
It was just something that I wanted to do.
But was that always the thought? It was like, I'm going to open a bar.
The reason specifically a bar?
Yeah. The reason I ask is because for a long time, what I wanted to do, not a bar, but I was real adamant about opening up a drive-thru because I always figured there was money in it.
Yeah.
And I just never qualified for a big enough loan, so.
I actually wanted to do drive-through at one point because right by my house, there was a drive-through that had just opened, and it was very successful. So I thought the same thing too. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of money in this. But no, like, I wanted to open something because I wanted to get experience. I never opened anything, never had a business, so I wanted to try something. Because I opened this before JD and I met.
Uh-huh.
I think it was 4-5 months before we met, something like that.
Oh, damn.
So, and it had been a work in progress. And actually, it took me, I think, like 3 years to open it.
To open it?
To open it, because
Okay.
we wanted it previously another location. And I wasn't allowed to go to that.
When did y'all open?
2017.
Do you remember the month? June 2017.
So it's almost going to be 3 years in this summer.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but it was just basically, I wanted to open something, get some experience. I actually wanted also a restaurant, but I know that's hella hard.
Yeah.
So I figured just go with something simple, a bar. Plus I used to like to drink a lot. So I thought a bar would be great. And I just did it.
Cool.
There was no great story behind it.
So like with the intricacy of like opening up the bar, because I'm guessing, wild guess, this is the first business you opened?
Like brick and mortar, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because not solely me, but me and my dad, I have experience through my dad. We opened 3 different businesses. They all went to shit, long story short. Bad management. Not entirely on my part. I was also very young too. But, so I kind of know the road bumps that you run into and shit like that. We started from the ground up. We didn't really have any money. We had to, look for loans and shit like that. So when you open this bar, what were some of the things that you ran into, like right off the bat, and would you handle them different now, or would you do the exact same thing?
Like I said, when I first wanted to open, I think it was in 2013. So I wanted to be in a different location. I wasn't allowed to do it because the residents there didn't want a bar. So that held me up for a couple years. So when I finally picked this location, I didn't really have any problems, actually. I didn't have any issues. The only issue that I had is getting the word out. So most people rely on advertising. I didn't really have a lot of advertising. I still don't have investors. Everything is just us. Like right now, everything is just, it's all come from us. Like we've slowly built it. So it's something small. It is a small bar, but it's grown slowly.
That's a lot of fucking work, though.
It is.
Like,
it is.
It's a lot of.
Oh yeah, it is. It's a lot of work. So you really have to like it. But I don't. I like the fact that we don't have investors. We don't have anything to answer to. It's just us, and we get to go the route that we want to. So, Facebook, a lot of people do like social media advertising and all that, but because we are a cigar bar, Facebook doesn't let you advertise because of the smoking, tobacco thing. So that's the only thing that really held us back. So it was basically word of mouth kind of thing. So it took longer, and even still, it's still growing slowly.
Oh. And when you opened the bar or whatever, you said you didn't have any advertising or anything like that. What was one of the first things you did to try to get people to go to your bar? Because I'm pretty sure nobody knew that like you were there like off the bat. Like what I'm saying is, did you do any promotion like before? Like before
we did do Facebook, but I'm saying we didn't do Facebook ads, but it was just posts on Facebook, friends, family, getting the word out that way. We would hand out flyers. I think that's pretty much it. There was nothing fancy. I mean, I was on a small budget kind of thing, starting small, so I didn't do anything crazy.
So you've been open. So you've been open for roughly 3 years now.
It's gonna
right?
be 3 years in the summer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So from what you know now to like from when you started to what you know now, would you do anything differently? He said yes, but I want to hear both right now.
I'm sure there's things that we could have done differently. I know there is, but I want to hear what he's going to say.
Yeah, me too.
No, it's just I'm nodding because not because I'm answering the question for you, because like, damn, these are kind of questions that I've been wanting to ask her for a while now. Like because we always start talking about, we start these type of conversations like, what could we have done differently? And then we just go off into this tangent like, hey, don't forget, we got to buy this shit, or we got to get this, or and we just start kind of in the now instead of looking back and reflecting and analyzing. But I think that when we look at the way it went from vision, like this is the way I envision it, and then this is where we stumble a lot, is vision to mission. Is the mission is like, this is how we do it. Because that's where we want to be. That's what we want it to look like. But the mission is like the steps that are along the way. How are we going to do all this stuff? And what are the little sacrifices that we got to make? You know, hey, we want to invest in this part, or we invest in the bar. Yeah. Or are we going to eat ramen for the rest of the week? Or, you know, exactly. Like, you make sacrifices, and it doesn't seem that way, but it's worthwhile. And I think in the beginning, I saw a lot of advertisement. I saw a lot about it. But when I started getting really involved, I said, I can help out with this, and I can help out with that. And she's like, well, you're good at this, then help out with this. You're a little bit more extroverted. You'll talk to the bands, the musicians, the artists. Can you help with the booking? Can you do this? Yeah. Then I started looking at, like, man, had we maybe done that from the beginning? But we started off small. So I think that everything that happened was meant to happen.
Hold the mic a little closer to you.
Even the little mistakes that we made. Yeah. Even the little mistakes that we made. Had we started off with this grand vision in the beginning, I don't think we would have grown the way we've done gradually. Because when you start too big, sometimes that's where you see some places doing great. Yeah. And then you're like, wow, I thought that was the place to be. Why is it closed? Like, it's only been a year. Something happened, you know. And like we talked earlier, bad management, or it could be they bit off more they could chew, or they were just putting way too many eggs in that one basket in advertising and paying bands and having live where it's like, you're a bar. Focus on the ambient. And I think that's one thing that we've done really well, is that people that love this bar, and I made a Cheers joke earlier, they come in here and they know you. They know your name, whoever the bartender, even if it's a new one. We've had people ask us, patrons, did you tell them about me? Like, I walked in and they said, you must be Freddy, you must be JD. And it's like, they didn't know exactly what to get me to drink, but they're already like asking me how I'm doing. Yeah. You know, obviously you didn't tell them personal stuff, but there's a great feeling of there's a great vibe that we've created there, where it feels like a neighborhood bar. It feels like what stuff was like back in the day, where you'd walk into a store and you weren't a number, or into a place and it wasn't a transaction. It was more of an interaction. Yeah. And I feel like we've, at the risk of sounding really cheesy and really like lovey-dovey, it's that kind of stuff that keeps people coming back. Yeah. You know, I've gone to places where I'm like, man, that was an expensive hamburger. Yeah. But I'm like, you know what? The service was really good, and it was freaking delicious. And you know what? If you do the math, we do this once in a while. That's not bad. We're not going to be coming here every week anyway. Yeah. So that's worthwhile, and I think that's what people look at. But I wouldn't change anything.
That's something going off of what you're saying. That's something that I did notice. I don't know if you, because I told both of you. I don't know if y'all remember when we had the conversation when we were trying to put on the show. I really did. Now that the show's over, y'all already paid me. I took your money. I really meant what I told y'all. One of the biggest reasons that I decided to work with y'all hand in hand was because when you approached me and you explained exactly what it was that you wanted to do and what your goal was and stuff like that, I could tell that you were very genuine. Like, you were very genuine as far as what, like, the goal that you were trying to reach, right? And when you told me, you were like, I don't care about the money. I don't care if it's thousands of dollars. I don't care if it's $300 that we raise. This is the goal that I wanted to reach. And due to the fact that it was, you were the owner of the establishment and you came to me with this, basically you just told me straight up, this is what I want. This is what I'm trying to do. And I need this service so I can get here. It was very genuine. I've worked with other people that have smaller businesses than what y'all have. And some have told me straight out, like, I'm going to do it because of this reason. And it's kind of sort of for charity. And I charge them, and they've told me, I was like, I can pay you whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's going to be a tax write-off. So it was, I'm not going to tell people how to run their business. I mean, it's your thing, right? Mm-hmm. But, it's just the way you came across to me, like, very genuine, and what you were actually trying to do for the community. Like, that's the reason, like, what I'm saying is you both came off to me as, like, real people. So that's why I decided, those are the kind of people that I like to like really work with. And I felt that when we came together to put this together for, like, the community and try to help these kids out and stuff like that, that was one of the biggest reasons why it motivated me to do it. And this is why, again, we're talking about doing that other thing.
Yeah.
The monthly show or whatever. But because, like I told you the couple of times that I met with you, there's a lot of people today that don't do that. They only do it if there is a benefit for them. Well, I mean, am I going to gain anything out of this?
Yeah, you were telling me that sometimes they take a cut of it too, even though they're not supposed to.
Exactly. Like, they raise that money and they shave a percentage up top for themselves, and then they, like, donate them.
Oh, God.
Which, again, it's fine. It's you. I mean, you put it together. It's up to you. I mean, it's cool, but it's just like it's just kind of weird to me sometimes to do things that way. So
there's a fine line. There's operating costs, and then
Now, when you, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you need shit to make something run, like, kind of like y'all started a business, y'all had nothing, you started from the ground up. You need something to get started. When it's for shit like that, it's completely understandable, because you're not gonna get money any other way. So you do. But when people that actually have the means to do it, like, have, like, real money coming in, and still do that shaving off the top and shit like that, it's kind of like, dude, I mean, you got it anyway, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying, like, y'all, I'm not saying anything negative, not in a negative way, but y'all don't really have it like that.
No.
And your approach to being like, was because I'm doing it for this purpose, and you didn't really care, like, whether we make money or not. It's
we actually paid for the operating costs as well.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't take anything.
And that was the thing that, I mean, when I came to you about that, I came correct about it, because that's in a way who we are. And I won't go into details, but in the past, she's when we first met and we were still getting to know each other, and the holidays came around, it's a nice romantic time of the year. It's cold, and you want to do stuff, and I don't know what we're doing. You want to do stuff like go out and have, pizza somewhere outdoors where it's nice. You got good ambient. You want to do romantic stuff, right? The weather's nice. You can finally eat outside without sweating your ass off, and so we did something, and it was just a real chill night. She's like, I got to stop at Walgreens. What the hell? And she just got off, and I was walking around with her, and there was this. Apparently, Walgreens has some great deals when it comes to toys. You can buy 2 for $10 or something like that, and they're really good toys. Like, they have the little people toys, which now that I know it, they're very safe. I got a 1-year-old, well, actually an 18-month-old, and I was just kind of observing this, and she went and bought her body weight in toys, put them back in the car, and then she's like, "Okay, we can take off now. Let's go do." And I was like, "What was that all about?" "I'll tell you later." And I didn't bring it up, and then I finally brought it up when I had a chance that we could really talk about it, because she kind of avoided it. She's like, "This is just something that I do." like, I think that this is just kind of like me trying to make a little dent and help someone that needs it. So she already had that in there, and I'm like, man, for someone that you know has been around with nonprofits a lot, worked with churches and whatnot, I thought, like, this is what makes someone genuine, someone real. It's not about, you know, hey, look at me, I'm over here helping out this homeless cat. Like, and there's nothing wrong with someone doing that. You know, if that's how they remember the moment, that's great. But when we do stuff like that, it's stuff that people don't see. So when we were done with this event, and I, you know, on Facebook, thanks to everyone that came out to the show and everyone that donated. Special thank you to the sponsors. We did that. You know, we did that.
Yeah.
But I didn't run it the way that we ran it when we were advertising for the show.
Yeah.
Advertisement to get people to go. You saw how much engagement we had through social media and what a big paragraph we wrote versus I just sent 2 or 3 out, or just one post and shared it on my page, shared it on the Stokely's page, and that was pretty much it. And I told her, should I be making a bigger fuss? Should I be thanking the comedians more, kissing their butts, sending them thank you? And she's like, no, because it is what it is. Like, everyone that showed up did it from the heart.
Yeah.
And we're not doing it for attention. Then it starts looking like you're being an attention whore or something, and that's not who you are. Like, you already said your thank yous, and the people that were there, you know, they were happy to do it. You know,
Yeah.
People randomly showed up with toys. And when we showed up to the PD, you know, we took a picture. Did we post that?
No, we did not.
We didn't post that picture when we showed up with the officer and gave it to the detective. I sent it to you, and I sent it to the other sponsors because I know them personally. And one of them, I didn't even know them personally, but Katya from Dr. Powers Extreme Inc.
Yeah.
Like, she started showing up a couple of times at Stokes just to just come and chill pre-game because they're going somewhere else, or she wanted to hang out for a while. And I thought, this is really cool that there's this friendship, because she would come and hug me and say hello, and she would say, like, thanks a lot for this last event.
And that was my main point with what I said earlier. Like, I feel personally, when you start doing things kind of like he says that you did, when you do things, whatever it is, small or huge, but you do it organically, I've always felt that organic things start happening for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the same thing with me, and we've had this conversation plenty of times where I've always told everybody, I don't care if it's 2 people in the crowd or 200 people. I'm going to give you the best performance I possibly can, because I'm not going to base my performance on how many people are present. Yeah. If it was 2 people, those people paid their money to be there. So I can't half-ass just because only 2 people showed up. And I feel, and I've only performed for 10 people. I perform in front of 50, 60. I mean, it is what it is. And I tell everybody 2 things is, whatever you do, you gotta be genuine about it. And the rest will be organic, and it will come back to you. But I've seen, I'm not going to mention any names, but I've seen business owners, I've seen comedians, I've seen performers where they've literally told me backstage, well, shit, there's only 10 people there, so they're going to get what they get. And it's like, and you know, keep in mind, this is like when I'm featuring, and this is the headliner talking. And I was like, bro, you're getting more money than I am. And sometimes that, you know, like when I first started, there was a lot of the times that I wouldn't get paid. And it's like, this dude is getting paid, and I have a pretty good idea of what he's getting paid, but he's basing the value of his performance based on like how many people are there. And I've never felt, it makes me feel that when people react that way, first, they're not being genuine, and secondly, it makes me feel like they don't love what they do. Yeah. So with me, the best way, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, either I like money, right? But my biggest thing is my biggest reward is when I can really genuinely make people laugh. That's the biggest payment that you can give me. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't tell y'all, but after like a week after the show or whatever, I ran into one of the people that went to the to that show, and I was at the store, and they recognized me. I didn't even know. It was like, hey man, you perform at that show at Stokely's, you know what I'm saying, for the chair. I was like, oh yeah, you were there. And he was like, yeah, man, you were really funny. And they asked me, where do you perform next? And I told them and everything. And they actually came to another show that I had here at El Rey. And I was like, hey man, if you want to come through, I'll get you free tickets or whatever. And you can come watch me. And they did. And again, it goes back to the thing. When you do things genuinely, it organically just comes back to you. And
Yeah.
I mean, it was just one person that was like very genuinely interested as well. And that happened. And I just feel that if a lot more people were to do things like that, we would be more prosperous as a whole.
Yeah.
The whole reason as to why I brought that up was because going back to the organic thing, I feel that if y'all continue to do what y'all are doing the way that y'all are doing it, your bar and your presence within the community and within the city, like it's gonna grow. And the reason I was asking you the questions that I was asking you was because there's a lot of people, including myself, that I used to act, because I've always been that type of person ever since I was young. It's like, what can I do for myself? I want to own a business. I want to open a business. I want to, I mean, I'm not shitting on people that work in the corporate world. If you have a 9 to 5 and you love it, great. But I've always felt that shit's just, it's not for me. So I've always wanted to have something of my own. It's just, I never knew, like growing up or whatever, I never knew how to get started or whatever. So that's why I was asking for y'all to give y'all's feedback on like how y'all started and what would you have done differently so that people know. And that was my biggest thing. I wanted to let people know that you don't have to have a lot of money to start something. Now that doesn't mean it's not going to be that it's going to be easy and that it's not going to be difficult. It's, of course, the less money you have, the less resources you have, the more difficult it is. But going back to what you're saying, it's what are you willing to sacrifice? And you're not going to be willing to sacrifice much when you don't love what you're doing. But if you love it, you're going to be willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to get there. So, I mean, as a whole, as a community and myself, I really do, I did and I do continue to appreciate what y'all do. And I hope that we can continue, working together.
Just to tamp that down just a little bit, to go back to the whole delusional optimist thing.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, by all means, follow your dreams right up until you go into the negative. Y'all ever heard easiest way to make a small fortune is start with a large portion and lose most of it. Same thing. Like if you start off broke, that's great. You're comfortable being broke, but don't get more broke than you were.
Yeah, I'm not saying if you didn't have any debt, create debt and continue going into it. I mean, if you start a business kind of like us, like when we started the businesses, our biggest mistake or our rookie mistake was we didn't know when to let go. So my dad created a big ass hole before I was like, hey dude, you need to let go. We going downhill from here. And sometimes because it's something that you love, you get emotionally attached to it and you don't want to. It's like, I can see. And I had to tell him, I was like, hey dude, we going down and it's only going to get worse from here. We need to let go now. Yeah. If you start to get into debt and you don't see, like they say, the light at the end of the tunnel, I mean, you have to also know when to let go.
By all means, if you're comfortable in the tunnel, stay in the tunnel. But
I mean, I don't know who would be comfortable in the fucking.
Hey man, some people break even, man. Yeah. Some people they're perfectly comfortable breaking even. They're not ambitious. We've had this conversation in regards to money. Freddy here seems to think it is the root of all evil. I keep trying to tell him it's the love of money that's the root of all evil. Go back and read the quote. Yeah. But the money's there for the ambitious. We need that little outlet for the people who have the big dreams, or even the medium-sized dreams. Fuck it, the small dreams. If they want to make them shiny, you got to have some way where they can accrue resources and then go out and do those beautiful things.
I think the secret there, that part of the conversation is just having that equilibrium. You know, what's your motivating factor besides the money, besides what the money can do for you? So knowing that family is important.
Yeah.
And like, I was talking to Jess one time and I told her, like, I've come to that realization, and I heard someone once say it, and I don't remember where, but it's true that family is, or they said something like, family is not just one of the most important things in life. It's the only important thing.
Yeah.
So if you can find a way to put that at the center and then put your goals around that, kind of like part of the bullseye, but you always have family at the center. So once you start saying, like, God damn, I haven't had a date night in 3 months. I haven't really spent time with my kids other than telling them what to do. I'm not interacting with them. I'm not engaging with them. I didn't know that this was his, like, I asked my son about a favorite video. This is just an example. I didn't do this shit. But I asked my son about a favorite video game. This is what someone told me one time. And how's it going with that game? He's like, Dad, stop playing that. That's not cool anymore. Like, now it's Fortnite, or now it's this. Yeah. And his dad was like, oh, well, shit, my bad. Like, then that's a little kind of flag going up that, as if that continues, the kid's going to be a teenager, and now he's going to hate your guts, and you're going to wonder why the disconnect's there. And I think with anything, just having that equilibrium of, why am I doing this? Why? And am I losing too much? Am I gambling too much away now? Because the money's coming in, but I got to find a way to step back. I can't be there all the time.
And me and Sean have had this conversation in the past before too, like, as far as our careers and stuff. And I've had this same conversation with other people, and there's a lot of people that don't believe me. And I can see why they wouldn't believe me, like, but they don't believe me when I tell them, like, as far as my career, I'm not looking for the million. And the part that they don't believe is that, honestly, I don't want it. Now, the reason that I don't want it is not because the money's not nice. It is nice. But what people do not understand and fail to see is that they only see the million and what that million can get you. They don't understand the responsibility of maintaining it and how much time it will chew away at your personal life.
There's a trade-off
to maintain it. Mm-hmm. And see, my other problem, and this is just me personally, I'm an introvert, so I don't really like people around me. I like to I'll be honest with y'all, I don't fucking like people. I get antsy. You get too close to me, I start thinking a whole bunch of shit. So my thing is that I've always told Sean is, I'm cool. I'm cool with doing what I do. I love comedy. I like making people laugh. But on the flip side, I would still like to be able to go to McDonald's with my kid, sit and have lunch, and not be bombarded by, all these fucking people and shit like that. You know what I mean? So I would like to figure out how to keep that balance to where, I can go perform. People may know me here and there, but where they're not gonna fucking rush to me and shit. And I get it. There's people that live for that moment. They love the attention. And that's fine. It's just he laughs because I tell him that when it comes to my career and the more that I grow, that's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is people fucking rushing me at a Walmart and shit. You know what I'm saying? So, and I wouldn't want that, especially because, with the exception of Sean, we all have kids, and I'm not sure. I wouldn't know how to explain that to my kid. Like, Dad, why are people trying to? Yeah. Because Daddy tells jokes for a living. I wouldn't know what to tell her.
Well, what does that guy think you're an asshole? Yeah. Like, why is that guy coming? Start. We're just at the checkout. We're just getting milk and cookies. What's going on?
Well, I think you touched on something profound and yet somehow ignored a lot. You're talking about the customer base, and y'all really do have that local bar feel. Having watched y'all kind of expand the layout of the place and just kind of expand what you're offering and just slowly getting that place to where you want it to be, and then also watching a lot of your customer base kind of stay the same.
Mhm.
Like you have regular faces, and a lot of places might have regulars, semi-weekly, maybe once a month, something like that. There are probably at least 3 faces that every time I've walked into your establishment, I've seen them there at some point in the night. So, and as far as you're talking about the equilibrium with the family and the business, a lot of what you're doing, I think, correct me if you're looking at it a different way, but a lot of what you're doing, I mean, there's almost a comparison to the home and the family atmosphere when you're dealing with that kind of service at that level.
Oh, most definitely.
You're
Yeah.
staring at them for hours at a time across the bar. They're in your place. You know what I mean? You're tolerating them probably at not their, brightest and shiniest, maybe a little bit belligerent even.
Yeah.
Drunks are beautiful people right up until they're not.
But they're honest.
You're very,
And I think that's another part of what you're talking about, the family aspect. That I've had customers come out and tell me, like, thanks, that was a great talk. And like, all I do was listen.
yeah.
Like, you did all the talking. And it's like, no, but, and I told him, like, I remember when I had a favorite bar. And at that favorite bar, I always felt like, that was a good conversation. And this cat's a good listener. And, this guy knows me better probably than my girlfriend does now, just based on everything we just talked about. And you start feeling like it's almost therapeutic, but I think that's part of tending bar. And it's not just tending and making sure someone gets their drink. It's also providing that atmosphere, providing that welcoming. Mm-hmm. You're having a crappy day. You got to check that at the door at any job. But here, because you're dealing with interaction, and some people are great readers, or maybe they're sensitive, or maybe they're introverts.
Yeah.
And I just want to do what I want to do. So you have to be able to get a feel and say, this is an introvert. I'm not going to be talking him up all night. Or this is an extrovert. He's going to want to talk my ear off, but I got 10 other people to take care of and other responsibilities, and, we're going to do inventory. So there's so much going on. It's like a household. I got to take care of this. I got to take care of that, but I also got to get functional things done, not just keep people happy. And I think that's a fun part of it. I think that's the challenge, and that's why it stays fresh.
I can honestly say every time I have just not enjoyed myself in a bar have been the kind of places where it's almost like me and the bartender showed up at the same time, and he just happened to walk behind the bar and start serving drinks. It's like, hey man, what are you doing here? It's like, well, what are you doing here? Like, what is your purpose for being right now?
And the thing about service industry, food, beverage, it doesn't matter. This is all stuff we can do at home for a third of the price. So why am I doing this out here? One, I don't want to do it at home, obviously, for whatever that reason may be.
And we look for the experience, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's an experience. It's like, why do we go to, why, and people don't agree with me on this, but people don't understand why movie theaters have stood the test of time. Because, you're paying to watch a movie. If you peel down to the skeleton of it, you're sitting, there's a screen, you're watching a movie. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's the exact same with the size of these TVs now and all these fucking services they have, you can do the same shit at home. But what people don't understand is that people still want to go out to pay for the experience.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing at a bar.
Part of the experience is too, like, I mean, even with the kids, and I told Jess, I guess part of the experience is getting screwed over for 25 cents worth of popcorn and paying $10 for it. And she's like, but look at them, they're happy. I'm like, I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. So be it,
Yeah.
Right. And like you were bringing up, the idea of like family is what, regardless of how you're structuring your life, at the end of the day, there is that kind of innate need for the family structure, but we're so diffuse in how we're living our lives that, it might be a Cheers scenario. You know what I mean? You might not know Norm's name, but you know Norm because you're there every fucking night. And, it's, and you were talking about the experience. Hey, look, I think most people, granted, you got your hardcore, just social butterfly, hedonistic types, and God bless them, they make for great stories afterwards. But I think most of us would rather, if you could sit in a room with like 15 people and just freely, drink, turn the music up as loud as you want, just have a good time, you'd rather do it with people the family, right? A lot of people don't have that, so you find a place.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
That's true.
to kind of bring it back to like the way y'all started the bar and everything. What did you do before owning a bar?
What do you mean professionally? I still have a 9 to 5 job. I do, but I still do it. I do my 9 to 5, and then I also take care of this. So it's a lot. I'm always tired. I'm always busy.
And you're a mom.
And I'm a mom to 2 boys. Yeah.
And she puts up with me too.
Yeah.
So 3 boys.
3 boys.
3 boys. Yeah.
We all made the same joke. Damn it.
So, but you know what you were saying earlier? Like when I started, I didn't know anything about running a business, much even running a bar.
I was gonna. That's kind of where I was going. Like, did you go to school by any chance?
For that, no. No.
Yep, like for business management or whatever.
No. Okay. So no, you don't necessarily have to know everything. And I've read, and I know you were talking about it yesterday, that there's even famous business owners that didn't know shit when they started.
Yeah.
You just learn along the way. So I didn't know anything. I just have to, put a little bit more work to it. But yeah.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is that she had this, not just that street smarts, but this kind of like, you have to have a certain high IQ for being able to read people and work with people and understand them and listen. And she's really good at that. Like where, as you can tell, I like to talk. Sometimes I ask myself, like, am I listening to understand, or am I listening so I can respond? So I can talk. Like, when is this person going to shut up so I can give them what I'm thinking?
That's a great fucking point. And I've said this numerous times on this podcast, but even as business owners and even as people, more so as people, like, people don't understand that if we were to listen to be able to understand instead of listening to like respond, we would understand each other way more. Like for example, y'all as business owners, I'm not saying you do or you don't, it's just an example. But y'all as business owners, y'all would understand your customer way more, and you would be able to supply, any business owner would be able to supply their customer better. And they would get a better reaction from their customer and a more a returning customer as far as longevity or whatever, just based on that. But today we don't do that. We listen to respond. And as far as myself, I'm guilty of that too. That's why I've told Sean before, I'm so grateful that I started this platform, that we started this platform, and I had the idea and shit like that, to create something like this, because through this podcast, I've learned to be not only a better conversationalist, but I've actually fucking like learned to listen and shit. Like now, when I talk, this is gonna sound fucked up, but now when I talk to somebody, I actually fucking listen. Before, I was listening to respond. Like, okay, what am I going to tell this?
Yeah.
Sounds like a dumbass, right? I'm not dealing with a dumb looking. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
like, it kind of comes off like some Tony Robbins shit, just a little bit. It's like your eyes are for seeing.
And I even think.
Now I listen.
And I even think, like, now, and it's going to sound weird as fuck, but had I been doing this podcast when I was married, I probably would still be married. I think I learned everything, kind of. I mean, as far as communicating, because I've always been I'll communicate. I don't, but I was the type that I told you how I felt, and then I would listen to you. But that was it. I wasn't trying to figure out why you were telling me that. To me, it was like, okay, I heard you. Let's move on. And it's like, no, you need to understand why I feel this way. And I figured all this shit out through just doing. I went to a fucking therapist and I spent over $300. And I didn't learn anything.
He's probably spent more time talking about the therapist on this podcast than he actually spent with the therapist.
Exactly.
I believe that.
And that's why this is also.
I'm starting to dislike her.
So I've learned through that just to be and again this ain't just speaking about myself. This is a big reason as into why I also do this, because I've learned that through talking to different people, I've learned shit about myself, and I've learned shit about like other people too. And it's helped me to grow as a person, and it's helped me to like figure shit out. Cause like for example, when I went to therapy, like the reason that it didn't work for me was because this lady told me everything that was wrong, but she told me everything that I already knew. So I was like, and then, and that was it. She just told me what I knew, and like that was it, So I felt, but a lot of people tell me it's because you went in there with the wrong intention. You thought that somebody was going to figure shit out for you and then tell you how to do it. Which...
Well, aren't they supposed to give you steps and, changing it or improving it?
She did, but it was kind of, I mean, I'm being kind of sort of sarcastic, but it's kind of how she broke it down. It's like, don't yell, you breathe first. And it's like, bitch, I know.
It's like a nutritionist, right?
Yeah.
Try make sure you get plenty of exercise.
Yeah.
Avoid this, avoid, I know that.
But like when I started doing this, like when he would mention or a guest would mention, oh, well, I get mad because of this. But when I get mad because of this, I do this. And this, when I do this, this happens. And that made me think, like, oh, okay. I was like, oh shit. Well, I kind of do the same. And with this fucking lady, she just like, this is what you do wrong. This is why you do it wrong. And you're wrong. Bitch, I'm paying you $300 so you can tell me that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You want something tangible, like, can you size me for a dog collar so when I go into asshole mode, that shit gets fixed right away or something?
I think a lot of the problem also is we kind of let people get to the point where they need like some hardcore like Freudian or fucking Jungian type of shit where it's like, okay, let's sit down, talk about your dreams. Is a cigar really a cigar? How do you feel about your mom? Where did the babysitter touch you? Type of shit,
Yeah.
How did your father fail you as a weaver of dreams in your life? That kind of nonsense. We're not really going into the all right. As far as the listening goes, part of that's important so that you can give the person something back so that they can give back. It's the tennis match, maybe in a certain kind of way. People don't like to. There are certain people that get very sensitive about the idea of kind of gamifying interactions between people, but that's actually how we interact with people. You walk into a room and it's a bunch of your friends, and it's like you could just walk in and go, "Hey, you and you." You walk in and you go, "Hey, what's up, fuckers?" How are you going to respond? What's the feedback? And that's base level. I'm sure. I have not had to deal with parenting. At best, I've watched a kid for 10 minutes while their parents ran to the grocery store. And I still question the judgment of those friends. But the interaction, the conversations you get, as far as like listening, you can kind of fake it with a kid a little bit easier because they're not like subtly, they're not 4D chessing you trying to like go, oh, I said this and they respond in this way. So maybe I should, they're not modifying themselves as they give it to you, much like drunks and children, very honest, and may the Lord look out for them. There is how to put it? It's easier to just be a soundboard in that situation when somebody's not modifying themselves as they talk to you, which is why when you get into the hardcore Freudian type of stuff where they're trained in a certain aspect to kind of blank face you and literally repeat everything you say back to you in a way that almost is meant to provoke you. You know what I mean? My understanding is with a lot of that, they want you coming in with answers by the end of it, right? I'd kind of like to tie this back to business in some sort of way. If I'm stumbling over my words here, I'm trying to figure out how we can loop this back around. I was thinking about y'all have managed to last in Edinburg for 3 years now, which a lot of people barely make it out of 18 months. I'm sure y'all have been to those. You walk in, you go, wow, this is a nice, and before you even get the sentence out, it's shut down, and they're going, yeah, we lost the money, yada, yada, and good places too. I mean, there's a lot of, I'm not going to name any names, but there's some just horrible little, they might as well just be, some guy with a keg and one of those little squirt guns just going, hey, you want drunk? Here you go.
I'm not going to, going along with just real quick with what you said, I'm not going to mention the name of the place because I'm still very good friends with the owner. But speaking about the running a show and having a once a month or whatever, one of the people of an establishment that I spoke to that approached me, I didn't approach them. They approached me about like running a show or whatever. And we sat down, had a formal conversation. I was like, yeah, man, you're a comic. They came to watch me. They came to one of my shows. You're really funny. Would you like to run a show out of my place? So on and so forth. It'd be cool. And I was like, yeah, man, let's sit down, crunch figures. Let's figure it out. Sat down, had that conversation. We scheduled to shoot for a show 2 months out from that date, right? And we kind of, this is the way we're going to get there. Cool. So let's start moving. 3 weeks after that conversation, I fucking found out through Facebook that they were shutting down. They were like, well, I would like to let y'all know that thank you for all the support from our community, but we have to close down after our... And I was like, what the fuck, yo? Like, what happened? Like, and then I started making phone calls and shit, and some of my calls went unanswered. It wasn't until like months later that I ran into him at one of my shows. And I was like, bro, what happened? And he's like, yeah, man, I had to let it go. I was like, a heads up would have been nice, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of left me out cold or whatever. And we cool. I mean, I understand. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to look out for yourself first. Yeah. And I get it. So we're still cool. I still talk to him and everything. But,
now, if I remember correctly, that was an issue of delegation where pretty much everybody wanted to just pay attention to their own little, it's like, I'll take this little piece of the business and pay attention to this. And
well, I mean, it was delegation and I believe it has something to do with Texas. So we all know how the fuck that works. So,
yeah. Well, tying it all back together, even the psychology and the sociology and conversations and listening and tying it back to when you asked, well, when you started, how much did you know? How much did you know? How studied were you? And there isn't any book or there isn't any magic bullet or anything, but that kind of intelligence and I wouldn't say intelligence, but I think that kind of attentiveness to not just your environment, the people you're interacting with, your internal customer as well as your external, the people you're serving, but the people that are part of your team that you're surrounding yourself with. I think all that ties back into like amidst all that shit, amidst all that's going on, there's a lot of laughter. There's a lot of like, you have to be able to just be like, because everyone's going there to have a good time. No one's going in there to listen to, like, I mean, we've seen that with the jukebox. Sometimes people are like, oh, put this on. Where's the funeral at? Yeah. We came in here to just relax. So sometimes people like, how was work? And it's like, oh, don't get me started. And I was like, well, let's not then. Let's talk about something else, Yeah. So, and I think that's what it's about. It's finding a way. And that's what makes comedy so great. So when we talked about the toy drive and said, hey, everybody's fucking, and nothing against that. That's a phenomenal idea. But without making it sound negative, it was getting a little played out because I was like, someone approached me like a concert. I'm like, oh, and I talked to her. I said, you know what I was thinking? Freddie, let me talk to him. She's like, go for it, do it. And we were just
hey man, I'm curious because I think I asked you, but I'm still not fucking clear on it. How the fuck did you find me?
I think what I saw was something about your podcast, and then you were talking about getting booked. Like, hey, just so y'all know, I'm available. Like, you know, like,
I fucking told you it worked.
No, and I was just like, no, and then I had to investigate. I was like, well, I'm not just gonna like So I started reading, again, it's that vibe that you get from people we were talking about. I said, the way this guy wrote it is like he's talking. It doesn't sound like some
what did I write?
Some social media person that's in charge of social media for your group or for your organization or for whoever. Yeah. Like it just came off as raw and like, hey, just so y'all know, boom, 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 I'm right here. Like, I'm down to, like, it was very humble. Yeah. It was very real. And then I told Jess, we need that. Like, this is one of ours. Like, if I reach out to him and I smell something that doesn't smell like he's one of ours, then we'll both know it. Yeah. And we'll both feel it because when we talk, like, I could tell you were just analyzing me as just as much. It's like a job interview. Yeah. The interviewer always thinks, the company, the CEO always thinks that they have the upper hand. But if you come correct and you're like, you know what? I'm here to see if you're also a good fit for me. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm interviewing you too, like,
And that goes back to the whole, what I've been saying all fucking night, like the whole organic thing. Like, I'm really trying to paint an example. I'm not tooting my own fucking horn, but like first of all, I mean, I'm not here to push religion on anybody, but I'm a big believer in God, and I feel that God has put me in a position to where a lot of the shit that I've gotten, thank God that I've gotten through word of mouth. I've gotten that. I was gonna tell you that one gig that we did that we went to Corpus for. Mm-hmm. I just came back from Corpus. I got that because some guy told that guy that he's like, hey man, it's Freddy. He performed here or whatever. He's funny as fuck. It's gonna be like your birthday party, whatever. Like, hire him. You know what I'm saying? What I didn't appreciate is that he told him that I was cheap. So he was like, he's cheap. So you know what I'm saying? And he was like, hire him, whatever. And I mean, you're gonna have a good time or whatever. And through word of mouth, I didn't even know the guy. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I felt kind of uncomfortable pulling up at somebody's house that I never knew who it was or whatever. But point is that because of something that I did, going back to what you're saying, being genuine and approaching people in a genuine way, like I've gotten a lot of things that have just fallen into place. And because somebody said, he's great, whatever. You need to get him over here and stuff like that. And I got one show, 2 shows because of Vinny. Vinny was like, hey man, this fucker is funny. I think, reach out to him and he'll help you out or whatever. And that I remember that show. I think you were there. Was a show that I did at Yerberia. And it was also a charity event. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yeah, why not? And again, it was because one of the owners approached me. They kind of explained the same thing. And I mean, it was at the time, it was a good fit.
That's why you have to bring it when you have 2 persons in the audience or you have 20 or 200. Yeah,
exactly. Because exactly.
That one guy.
You never know who's watching. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You never, and I'm not saying, that's why I tell everybody, you gotta do shit because you love it. I'm not saying that you gotta do it because you don't know who's watching and an agent might be watching it. No. Just you never know. This person is going to tell somebody else. And that's how it works. Same thing with y'all's bar. Go to Stokely's. JD's very serviceable. He's real cool. He's always smiling. And shit like that. And it's because of your approach and the genuine personality that people want to keep going back. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't give a shit about what you're doing or whatever, it's gonna show, and then you're not gonna fucking get people to go watch you or to go to your bar or whatever. So yeah, it's just I think that organically, if you're able to continue to do that, is how you continue to grow. Now, going back to the people watching and listening and shit, just because I said all this shit, it's not easy. It's not. And there's a lot of times that, going back to what you were saying earlier, you're going to go to sleep with none but fucking ramen noodles in your fucking stomach because that's all you got. But where is your bigger picture? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you willing to sacrifice? You know what I'm saying? And one of the biggest things that I damn near preach to everybody is like, are you willing to give up like damn near everything for this one, for your one dream? Mine is comedy. Y'all's is y'all's business. Like how bad, how bad do you want it? And I'll be honest with you, if somebody asked me for my daughter, I'm gonna take her, bro. I'm kidding.
And on that note, we'll isolate it and make it a ringtone. We're coming up on the first hour, so
Cool.
we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
2, 1. All right, folks, we're back for the second hour.
How y'all doing? Y'all still awake? I hope so.
Sir.
It's only been a couple seconds, you narcoleptic
Oh, I'm
motherfuckers.
hoping y'all are awake. I was talking to them.
Oh, okay. Well, where to?
to?
Alive and ready.
So kind of to get softer, I guess. Kind of, sort of. I don't know how soft y'all can get. How did y'all meet?
We met through a friend.
Through a mutual
Yeah,
friend?
through a mutual friend.
I was gonna let her answer that. But yeah.
Smart man.
Well,
And
fuck, care to elaborate?
And there was no alcohol involved either.
No.
Because sometimes people like that mutual friend was his name alcohol. No.
No, I kind of got the point that it was an actual person, human being.
Yeah.
No, yeah, we met through a friend, and
Because of the bar thing. That's always the joke that comes up. Did you guys meet here? Blah, blah, blah.
oh yeah,
Your
people.
mutual love of drink. And I'm like, no, it's not. No, what?
You're fucking it up for me. That's kind of sort of where I was going, but
Sorry, man.
shit. No, it's cool. I was just joking.
It's just like those movies when you see, I know where this is going. Like,
Yeah.
He was
But-
he was looking at that like fucking lovesick people watching rom-com movies.
Yeah.
Going, all that goofy shit I did when I was younger, it totally worked out if I'd met the
Yeah.
right person.
Yeah.
All I had to do was sit at the bar and drink myself stupid.
Yeah.
So, through a mutual friend,
Uh-huh.
and then what happened?
And then we just started talking, texting.
But it happened like that. Like I mean, I guess what I'm asking is, when y'all met through your mutual friend, like, were y'all mutually interested, or was it? Because you know how sometimes it happened. Well, he was more interested than I was, and shit like that.
We basically called bullshit on each other. We both said we're happy where we're at. Obviously,
As far as what do you
trying,
mean?
we're happy with.
Like, we don't want
this-
anything. We just want to be friends, kind of thing.
Like, yeah, like let's see where this goes, type of thing. And it was her saying that more than me, because I was just trying to be all hard, be like, hey, it's nice to meet you, blah blah. And then, like, as I tried to court her more and more, she's like, oh, fuck, I guess. You twisted my arm. And I'm like, yeah, I guess steak and baked potato and a beer. Yeah, who's gonna say no to that? So it just kind of grew. I think even what we were talking about earlier, we just made each other laugh so much that after a while, when you feel that connection, you just like, you know what, this person not only can make me laugh, but can also see through some of that bullshit of me saying I'm fine. I'm fine. I could stay single for the rest of my life or whatever. And then they see that vulnerability, and I'm sounding real cheesy now, but that's the way I felt. Like, I mean, she can see through me, and she still sees the real. She still sees me, and that's good,
Basically, you're saying like you found the person that accepted you for who you were, no matter
Yeah.
who you were.
Yeah.
On a more cynical approach, she knew exactly where to stab you, and she didn't.
Yeah, exactly. No, and she still does. Like, when she's got to go there, she'll go there, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna shut up now. I'm done. You're right, honey. And I'm gonna shut up now. But
How long y'all been together?
Since 2017.
So 3 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in 3 years, just kind of a general sense. What would you tell somebody that what's the main thing that y'all feel has made y'all last the 3 years that you said, like, kind of just, if you do this, it'll kind of help you.
You want advice? I
Not
think
from
we're like
us.
the last people to give advice.
And that's exactly the reason why
It's
I'm asking.
3 years, not 30.
No, and that's
I know
exactly why I'm asking.
But, I mean, 3 years can still be a long time, I guess, but
That's a long fucking time.
it can be.
Oh, the same fucking person.
I love how you just looked at me when you said that 3 years can be a long fucking time. Right person. Wrong in this case.
No, but we've had issues too, but
We've all had.
well, yeah. But this relationship, like I noticed this relationship has been very different. Because we talk and we communicate. And I think that's probably why we've lasted so long. Is that even when you're pissed about something or you don't like something, it's basically talking about it and then finding a compromise. And honestly, I think that's besides the stupid shit, like we laugh about the same things. The sense of humor is the same, that kind of thing. We like hanging out. We generally like talking to each other. We like sharing all of our thoughts and all that crap. But to me, it's more like when you have, I mean, every couple fights.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to that point, if you're the kind that just walks away and doesn't fix it, well, then you're just setting yourself up for a disaster. You know, you're gonna end up breaking up. But if you stop, even if you get away for a little while to calm down, you come back and you talk about it and talk about why it pissed you off, why you didn't like it, and you actually listen, like you were talking earlier, you actually listen and just instead of just responding to each other. But if you actually take in what the other person's saying and consider what they feel, then that's like the best chance that you got. And I honestly believe that's why things are so good with us.
That's one of the biggest things that I learned, again, late, but I learned that a lot of the things like in a marriage is because like you said, every couple fights, you're never gonna avoid that. If you live to be 80 with this fucking person, you're gonna fucking argue at 80 with this fucking person. But something that I learned was so your problems that you have with this person was it's like a trash can with a trash bag and you dump the problems in there, right? And these are the problems that you have. So you have those problems, and if you don't work on them and you walk away but you leave them there, that trash is going to stay there. After a while, it's going to start to stink. So if you don't take the trash out, meaning if you don't solve the issue at one point, and if you don't solve it before you move forward from it, meaning if you don't take that trash out, it's gonna stink, and it's gonna keep stinking, and the trash is gonna continue growing. Which, for a lot of people, this was one of the mistakes that I made in my marriage, was they think that they could keep the trash there and just Febreze the shit out of it, and then that's like a Band-Aid. But eventually, it's gonna stink again. So again, I learned late, but you gotta learn to take the trash out.
Yeah, well, that's the point.
And keep the trash can empty as much as possible when it comes to that, so it can continue working. And I mean that figuratively and literally too.
No, yeah.
But that's the point of talking about it, is so you don't repeat the same thing also.
Yeah.
Because even if you did walk away and get over it and just not want to talk about it, it's if you didn't tell that other person what it was that upset you, what they said that upset you, or what they did that upset you, they're bound to do it again. So it's just going to be a cycle. So you kind of have to talk about it.
Another thing that I feel, and this is just not, I mean, it applies to like a relationship, but I think it applies in general, us as a human being. And again, this is something that I've learned through this podcast. I think something that a lot of people have not come to grips with is that you have to be okay with disagreeing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like we can disagree, but we can still be friends. Well, you have to understand that not everybody is gonna feel and think like you do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because that person is entitled to their opinion. It doesn't matter if you don't agree with it one bit. And your responsibility as a human being, not even as a friend, just as a human being, you have to, as hard as it may seem, you have to learn to respect.
I think it's very hard for people to do.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. I think if people were to work on understanding just that concept, it would be way different. But the people that I refuse to respect are the people that believe that the earth is flat.
You keep focusing on that simple shit right there.
That's a hard part. Like for me, and we were talking about that just the other day. It like the earth-shattering idea wasn't that we're gonna disagree. Like I could wrap my mind around that. The one that was really tough is we could disagree, and I just might be wrong. This relationship like helped me embrace that fucking fact that I'm gonna be wrong about some stuff. Before that, I thought we were two highly intelligent people. How's this gonna go down when we totally disagree on something like how to raise our son, or you know, we know we shouldn't be staying up this late. You know, it's a work night.
Yeah.
And we were watching this Netflix series or whatever, you know, just simple little decisions like that. And then the next day you wake up cranky or whatever. And now you have to deal with the fact that that's on you.
Yeah.
That was on me. I'm the one that suggested we do that shit. She was already falling asleep reading a book or whatever. And then you're cranky. And I'm just giving an example. And there's moments where I've realized like, this is on me. Like, I fucked this up. I'm the one that's wrong. Or there's times where I can't. Like, I just can't wrap my mind around like, no. There's no way. I'm right. I did the math. I did the equation. And the thing is that my dad taught me this. I mean, he actually told me this when I was a teenager. Like, women don't care about logic. They don't care about it adding up. 1 + 1 + like, if it doesn't feel right,
it's just
or
in my mind, it's right, and you have to understand it, right?
Yeah, so, I know what I'm telling you. And that's it.
It's like, look, this is. I figured out women's logic. Women's logic is, no. Let me tell you something about you that you don't know that's wrong with you. And I was like, well, shit. Okay.
And she's right. That was the hard part. Is like, well, but I'm right about this. No one said you weren't. You're right. That's that part. Yes. 1 + 1 is 2. Well done. I like that you can show your work as well, you know, but then they'll tell you like, but it's the way you're saying it.
Yeah.
You know what you just said. There's nothing wrong with saying it. The way you said it, you're talking to that person like they're a piece of crap, or you have this tone like, you know, you're so smart. And I was just like, did I really come off that way? Yeah, you did. I can record it for you next time. You know, and that's when you kind of like, oh man, my bad, you know. And that, I think that's the other hard part, is give yourself permission to.
That was my favorite. Oh, you didn't say that? I got a text message. Look.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I did. I wrote it down.
Well, think about it like this: getting feedback as a performer, a lot of it is, "Wow, that was great. I enjoyed myself," which does great for the ego. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like somebody just walking up to you and patting you right on your little fuzzy head, and that's like, all right, that's nice. But if you go, what joke did you like? Like, break it down. Like, how exactly did you? And then they just run the fuck off.
Yeah.
Usually, you don't even.
The one that made me laugh. I was like, oh, well, that helps.
And the people that are more willing to give you that, like, kind of unprompted, or like without, let's say, without any familiarity. It's one thing if somebody's coming up, you know, that you know, and they're kind of giving you feedback. beyond the performing thing in life. You know what I mean? If some random stranger walks up to you and go, hey man, here's how you fucked up. And, there's not a lot of wiggle room if you don't have that familiarity to go, let me drop a thought on you. You know what I mean? It's why let's be optimistic and say 99% of the time, probably best to mind your own damn business in most situations. They'll figure out their fuck up somewhere along the way, or if they don't, you won't be the last person to have to deal with that. So, yada yada. Let somebody who really has a stake in the game get into it. But what I'm getting at is the person that's more eager to give you the feedback without having that emotional tie. I'm thinking about this Patrice O'Neill quote. I've been going back and listening to a lot of Black Phillip show up. You've never checked it out, by all means, go. It was basically his skewed, odd, and yet insightful view on love and relationships. It was it's a play on what's the guy, Dr. Phil, Black Phillip. Anyway, long story short, you explain the joke and it ruins it. But what I'm saying is, he has this quote about for most long-term relationships, woman needs to love you. As a man, we need to like you, and it's as you said, women are very good at getting to the, here's what you did. Let me break down the subtleties and all of this stuff. And it's a superpower. It really is. I've seen it, the skillful practitioners of it who do use it for, let's say, less than righteous means. They can walk into a situation and break somebody down just almost to the atomic level emotionally, just based on a briefest of conversations. It's some evil villain type of shit. Like Lex Luthor couldn't fuck a motherfucker up as bad as I've seen that occur to some dudes. But if she's on your side, she's there for you. She's the one that's going, hey, come over here. I'm going to point out some holes in your defense right here. You need to fucking patch this shit up. Get it together. We good? All right. Break. You're back in the game. You're good to go. You got a teammate there. And say in a working relationship type of thing, you have to have those people. You don't need yes men around you. I'm sure you guys have employees. The person that goes, yeah, boss, we're all good. You go, yeah, no, but really, where's the problem? Where's the leak? Where's the this, that, and the other? What are we not covering? The person that can bring you the critical criticism sometimes, but the critical information that allows you to improve yourself and improve yourself in a way that benefits them as well. And they're being tied enough to you to understand that it benefits them as well. And as men, we have to like women, because when they come to us with that shit, if you don't really like them, you can love them all you want. But sometimes the best idea is, maybe we should get away from each other, because I'm going to start screaming, yelling, and throwing stuff right now. And I don't want you to have to deal with that, sweetheart. Am I shooting in the dark? Freddy, you looking at me like you confused as hell, son.
No, I get what you're saying. The only thing I'm thinking is, like, I agree with most of it, but there's certain situations where sometimes just that logic does not apply. But it goes back to what you were saying earlier. You kind of have to be like, okay, well, you were right here, and this is where I was wrong. And that's the part where you as a person, and I'm not saying man or woman, like I'm saying man and general, woman in general have to do it. It's like you have to be okay with, okay, this is where I was wrong, this is where he or she was right, and you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was guilty of that, because that's where one of my mistakes was, where I had to be like, okay, this is why I'm right, but let me prove to you why I was right. When really proving didn't really prove anything.
And it didn't improve anything either.
It didn't improve anything.
And I think that's part of that, what you were just talking about, and tying it all together, is in something that's healthy. And I mean a healthy relationship. I mean, this is just as an owner, as an entrepreneur, as a partner in a relationship, or just being able to say, what can I do better? Like, where did I fuck up? Yeah, the show, because, and I read it in the Harvard Business Review. It was some class that I was taking on, like, leadership versus management. Like true leaders are,
Yeah.
they inspire change. Managers are just going to make sure that everything's chopped up correctly. The forest, you got people with sharp machetes chopping all the vines as you're going through the forest. Your team is in a straight line. There's someone behind them taking all the stuff that they're chopping down and putting it aside. A leader, that's a good manager. A leader is going to climb a fucking tree and be like, whoa, we're going the wrong direction, guys. We got to go this way.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like talks about that one of the traits of great leaders is that they can go and ask, what am I doing? I know what I'm doing well. I know that impersonation in the joke when I was impersonating my mom. I worked on that my whole lifetime. Since I was in the womb, I could already impersonate her. Like, I that whiny, whatever. Like, I know that part was funny. I know what I'm doing well. What can I do better? And if you can say that as a boss, if you can say that as a business partner, as a partner in a relationship, and you're open, and you can sit there and not get all butthurt when the truth comes or things that you may not want to hear, then that's one of the true signs of greatness. It means that you're making those strides to try to improve, try to grow. Because then we're not growing. We're just kind of comfortable where we're at. Well, this is what I've been used to my whole life. This is the way I was raised, or this is where I come from. And you're able to listen and kind of like take it and be like, God, I think I'm wrong. Like, I got to work on this or I got to work on that.
And like that's how I wanted to cap off. Like my part of the point was that another thing that I feel like people don't understand is like it's okay to be wrong. It's completely okay to be wrong because nobody's perfect. What makes it not okay is to be wrong, to realize that you're wrong, and to continue to be wrong. Once you make that conscious choice of like knowing that you're wrong and you continue to want to be wrong, then that's when the real problem occurs.
Yeah, you start doing damage.
And I learned this actually from going to when I was going through the whole AA meetings and the drug classes and shit. Like they used to say, in order to change the outcome of the situation, sometimes you don't necessarily need to change the situation. You need to change the behavior that's causing that outcome. And it took me a while to understand. And that was the other problem. That was the other problem with me. Like, as far as like my drug addiction and my alcoholism, like, just because I felt that I didn't have a problem with it and other people did, it doesn't mean that it wasn't a problem. And that's what I was failing to see. You know what I'm saying? Like my addiction, whatever it was that I was going through, it was affecting other people, but I didn't care about like how it was affecting other people. Right? So it goes back to like what you were saying. In a relationship, when you're running a business, or anything in general, you have to, in a way, not entirely, because you can't think and live for other people, but you do have to take into consideration, especially like with your wife, your spouse, whatever the case may be. Okay, like, if I do this, it makes her feel this way because of this and this and this. So what you were saying, how is it that I can be better or change the behavior and think differently? You know what I'm saying? So it goes back to what I was saying earlier. A lot of people, and I'll take a stab at it. I see it a lot more in men than you do in. I mean, some women do it too, but you see it a lot more in men because, as a man, like it hurts your ego. Even when you run a business, there's people that have ran their business into the ground because they refused to listen to an employee, per se. The employee was saying, hey boss, maybe if you try it this way, it might be different. You're the employee, what the fuck you know? This is my business. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing. It's kind of hard to detach yourself from your and I was that person. Like and I'll be honest, like to this day in a lot of things, like I'm still like that. I'm the type of person that I'm very it's very once I'm set on something, it's very fucking hard to like change my mind. You damn near have to show me like this is why this is not, and then I'll be like, all right, cool, all right, fine. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's part of what helped us also is that at the beginning of our relationship, neither one of us was willing to say, yeah, it's my, like, I was wrong. And now we do that. Like, if we know we're wrong, we're willing to admit it.
Or my approach. Well, yeah, I was wrong, but if you wouldn't have done this,
we used to do that too.
You know what I'm saying? So it was, and it's hard, bro, because I learned that with myself. Like, it's hard to just be, well, I was wrong. And that's it. Like, you were wrong, learn from it, and you have to, like, move on.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier.
Because it sounds like you're still holding on to it.
Yeah,
You're still holding
exactly.
on to that bitterness. And it's like, because that conversation ends like, well, you're right. If I wouldn't have done this, like, you wouldn't have done that. But see, if you wouldn't have come back with that stupid ass explanation, you wouldn't be sleeping in the couch now.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
99. Like that's
so exactly.
Well, consider this for a second. And in any give and take, whether it be brief acquaintances or long-term romantic relationship, business relationships, whatever. If you ever find like that, those little resentments where when you see something, yeah, but type of stuff where there's a scorekeeping involved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not to say like, you want to be able to like turn to the person next to you and go, hey, do you have any fucking, comments? You go, oh yeah, here's the numbers. But like when, you're waking up in the morning, they're hitting you over the head with the numbers going, God damn you, why won't you change? And it's like, holy shit. Like this is no longer this is a victory for the other person in some way. Or when you get to that point where you start feeling the victory loss kind of feeding into your motivations, that's probably a bad sign. Like, and it may be, you run into it like early in relationships where it's like, oh, you're not even, the resentment almost isn't for the other person. It's for maybe somebody in the past, maybe an amalgamation of people and scenarios. Maybe it's something you're carrying over. Somebody kicked your tricycle over when you were in elementary.
Yeah.
But either way, that's something you gotta, you walk into it with baggage and we all kind of go, okay, at some point you dump it on the table and you go, okay, how much of this is stuff you really want to hold on to moving forward?
And it's funny that he says that because and this is where a lot of people disagree with me, especially when it comes to relationships and shit. Because I used to feel the same way. It's like a lot of people, the way I feel is like when you choose, say you have a problem, and let's say it's big, whatever you would consider a big problem between you and your spouse. And say that you talk about it, but it's been weeks that y'all been going at this shit. And at the end of the day, you're like, hey, you know what? We fucked up, whatever. Let's not do this or let's change it or whatever. But the biggest concept that people, again, and people disagree with me. I've heard it plenty of times, but I've learned that when you choose to say that you did something to her, and yet that it was your fault. She had nothing to do with it. It was your fault. And then she decides to forgive you, right? I forgive you, you fucked up. And she genuinely forgives you. You know what? You fucked up, all right? Let's move forward. The thing there is that I've seen that people like say, like, I forgive you, but I'll never forget.
Bring it up later.
That's where I was going. My thing is that, and this is where me and my ex-wife disagreed, because she was like, I'll forgive you, but I'll never forget. And my thing was like, if you're going to forgive somebody, you have to forget. and you have to let it go. Because if you don't forget and let it go later, well, remember that shit you did 3 years ago? You know what I mean? So
let's back up a little bit on that. I don't think you want to forget. I mean,
you see?
And well, no, hold on.
I completely disagree.
Well, look,
with
when
that.
somebody comes to me with that fucking bullshit, like I'll forgive, but I'm not gonna forget. It's like, did you think that I thought you were retarded? Like that somehow like a goldfish at the end of this conversation, you were gonna wander off and go, "Gee, what was that about?" I mean, of course you're gonna remember.
I mean,
I guess
literally,
hold on to it.
Yeah. I mean, literally,
Well, no,
you're
Like
gonna
file it away and have it ready for that, ace up your sleeve type of thing. Because
aware, don't
obviously
blind
you're going to
yourself.
remember, but I think is remember and still have that hurt come back and have that resentment.
I think humanly, depending on how big the thing was, you're gonna fucking remember. But I feel that it's your job as a human being to, like what he's saying, like let it go, like really let it go.
Oh yeah. I'm all for the let it go,
and-
but that not for like forget it. I've heard that rephrased several different ways, and each time it's wishful thinking all the way down.
No. Well, I mean, I get it because humanly, again, depending on how big the situation was or the problem was, you're humanly, literally not gonna completely forget it. You know what I'm saying? Like the biggest thing for a lot of people that some marriages have overcome is, like, for example, when you cheat on your partner, right? Whether you're the man or the woman, you're not gonna forget that shit. You're not. But the thing there is, if you decided to stay there and to work on your marriage and you decided, I'm gonna look past that, your job is to really let it go. Now, I'm damn sure that you're not gonna forget that it happened. But your job is, like, you really have to let it go.
Well,
and years
JD,
later,
I think, said something very important a moment ago, which was if you're still feeling that because every once in a while the memory's just going to pop to the surface, something's going to remind, unless you're just doing some hardcore suppressing and fucking walling that off in the back room, it's going to come up every once in a while. Even if you just like, hey, remember that time? Even if you don't say it out loud, the thought will come to you. But if you're having that emotional response to it, like one of the real simple yet, I mean, it kind of perplexed me how profound it was finally hearing someone kind of break down the idea of, like, look, if you're having any sort of emotional, how do I put it? Like a trigger is really the right word for it. If you're having a involuntary emotional response to any sort of memory, any sort of, thought process, recurring thought process that you're having, then you're not done dealing with it. It's not every once in a while your brain's just going, hey, this is similar to something we did before.
Exactly.
But occasionally it's your brain going, hey, stupid, you still got shit to work on. You better fucking pay attention.
But it goes back to what he was saying.
Well, there are a lot of people that fucking smile. The reason I push back a little too hard is I've seen those relationships where people kind of smile and go, we're all good. And it's like,
and then you're not.
Yeah, they're holding it together with twine and willpower.
And the reason that I was, like, poking at that too is because that actually applies to, like, when you have employees. I experienced that shit today with my boss. I was working on some shit and I fucked up somehow in what I was doing, and she brought it up to my attention. She was like, hey, this right. And to be honest with you, I was more bothered because she made a huge deal out of a very small mistake, right? But to justify her making a huge deal, the reason she did it was because, going to what you're saying, she was like, well, it's because the thing is that you did the same shit. She didn't tell me like that, but basically she was saying, you did the same shit 3 months ago. And I was like, well, bro, I mean, fuck. Like, that was 3 months ago. I mean, so is this going to accumulate? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's why it was like, and then she didn't let it go. You know what I'm saying? And before I left today to clock out, she told me, she was like, let's make sure that doesn't happen again. And this was like 2 hours after the conversation. She was like, let's make sure that doesn't happen again. And I was like, what? And then it made me feel like what you're saying. I was like, dude, are you working some shit out and you're like taking it out on me or something? You know?
Yeah, that exact scenario very often, granted the special conditions apply, but I think more often than not when you run into that scenario, they're not even talking to you. When somebody gets that, walks into the room and chooses one person and goes, we're going to have a fight. It's like, you're not even fighting.
No.
You're fighting with
that's what I'm saying.
You're making a demonstration for the rest of the pack.
Her
She's a bad manager is what it sounds like.
Her point of being mad at me was legitimate because I fucked this up. So because of this fuck up, you got mad. That's legit. The fact that she refused to let go, even up to the point right before I clocked out, and bringing up 3 months ago was what bothered me. You know what I'm saying?
Two things, man. One, if you have somebody in your chain of hierarchy, chain of command, whatever it is, you know what I mean, under you, and you're trying to direct them in some way. If you have to go the route, I mean, if they're literally that type of personality where you have to drag them out in the middle of the town square and flog them in front of the populace, that person is a problem right off the bat. I mean, that
and y'all want to know what,
one time to wake them up a little bit. But.
Y'all want to know what's crazy? He doesn't know my boss, and everybody else in the office that does know her says the same shit about her. That they feel that she's the type of person that you gotta do that. But everybody's afraid to do it because she's kind of well connected or whatever with higher ups or whatever. So nobody will. And that's why sometimes we have I have a problem.
Okay, to offer benefit of the doubt here, just because I'll play devil's advocate any of the day of the week just for the giggles. Do you think that it might be her going, oh, this is how people communicate? Or is there vindictiveness there? Is there a
sometimes it does
malicious will?
Sometimes it does feel like there is, but sometimes, like I said earlier, sometimes it feels like there's other shit going on back here, and she's just, that has nothing to do with work, and she's just kind of throwing it out through work. You know what I'm saying? And I feel that way. But people don't have the balls to tell her because of who she is and whatnot. And a lot of our bumps of head is because I don't, when I feel that I'm not entirely wrong, I'll state my case. And I don't let her walk all over me. And other people do. And she's not used to that. So I think that's also the reason why she pokes at me harder. Because I don't.
I sense a parent that just, that's how they showed love somewhere in that past. Just I love hanging out with my fucking dad. It just, we get together, drink some beers, and yell at each other over random bullshit.
But to tie that to my main point with y'all, going back to what we were talking about with the whole relationship and the whole being a boss and handling your employees and shit like that. My point was learning to let go and in a sense forget, but I mean forget as in how he was saying, not hold on to it.
Right, can I offer a suggestion here? Detach. You don't want to forget, but you do want to
Why wouldn't you want to forget?
Why the fuck wouldn't you want to remember?
Because you have to let go.
Haven't you seen the movie Memento?
Yeah, but that was a movie.
Hey, Guy Pearce is a very realistic actor. Method, it works. Actually, to kind of let's try to bridge the gap here a little bit. Y'all have been the bar started off in the infancy stage about the same time as your relationship did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming slowly, just we haven't gone into details, but I'm assuming the slow merger from your thing to our thing was the stages, right?
Yes.
So let me throw this at you. I do think there is some element of having like a shared, vision. You get on the dating sets. I want somebody who shares my beliefs. And what they really mean is, I hope that you see the future the same way I see the future, or at least close enough that we can stand back and squint our eyes a little bit. So, how has running the business and having that kind of shared focal point both helped and hindered the relationship? What gains do you think have because you're running through the lessons quickly because it's not just you two, separated from the rest of it. You now have to deal with other people when you're dealing with a fixed setting and a fixed schedule. I'm sure there's stress that is involved in that.
Yeah.
From my own experience, and I'm sure just from how often it happens, y'all observe this as well. There are people who get into business with their relationship partner, and it's just a bad idea. But I think more often than not, it very quickly helps to focus the goals of those people involved. So where do you think that has had an effect on it? Both on the business or on the relationship?
Well, at the beginning, it was separate. Everything was separate. But something happened in our personal life that he took on a more present role in the bar. And, it's hard. Of course, it's hard. Besides it being a lot of work, it can be, it's like you go from a normal couple to doing normal couple stuff, and then all of a sudden you catch yourself talking about business all the time. So then a part of your relationship is now shifted, and it's different, and you have to adapt. And then there was a part where we're kind of like tired of it, giving each other strokes, because you want to revert back to being a normal couple. So, like you said earlier, it's sacrifices. You have to decide, is it worth doing this or not? But it's been great. We had to adapt and learn. So now we're both on the same page in the personal things going on in our life as well as the business. And he's become a huge part of the business. I think more people know him than they do me. Obviously, he's more talkative, social, much easier to get along with and have conversations with and all that. So especially with the music, that became a bigger thing in the bar because of him. We're doing changes like the stage and all that because of what he's grown. If he hadn't come into the picture, we wouldn't be having what we have now. It'd be a different bar. So he's changed a lot of that. So we have the same goal, we have the same dream now, but it's good, but it's also great because we have other things that we want to do. So I don't see anything negative other than the stress and
you only have 24 hours in a day.
It's not
You mentioned that when you were talking. Just sometimes you just have even another hour, 30 minutes, just to get it.
So to find the question a little bit, is there anything that you found in one aspect or the another that just like a simple if we run it this way, we get to the end goal much quicker?
No.
Something that's
in fact, there was a lot of disagreements when she mentions that we were having conversations. Those conversations were not just, let's do this, and let me add to this. It wasn't like we were building something with Legos and she was giving me pieces and I needed more red and I was giving her. It wasn't like that. It was like, no, let's strip this down. There was, and I think that's also helps anyone, is that need for nuance. I agree with you, but did you think of this? So that's constructive criticism, what we talked about earlier, when you're like, tell me where I'm messing up. Because I know what I'm good at, but what can I improve on? Like, what are some of my weaknesses? So when you're having that conversation in a constructive way, like, it's criticism, you're like, it's criticism from nobody. Who the hell do you think you are? Yeah. But when they're giving to you freely and they're saying, and you pick up on the cues that this is constructive. Yeah. Like, the word literally means this is going to build me up and it's going to build up what I'm trying to do. So let me listen, let me shut up and hear her out before I interrupt and say, I already thought of that. Or, so hear it all out and be like, oh, damn, I had thought of that, but you mentioned this and this. And actually, those are great ideas. So when we have those little nuances and we have those conversations like, let's try this, or, you know, we don't have to be married to this idea. We have to give ourselves permission to suck at some stuff so that we can learn and get better and grow. I was just like, this is something magical that can really take off and like she said, add some of our other ideas and other projects we want to pursue. Yeah. So,
well, I mean, we're kind of sort of running out of time, but I wanted to jump into from where y'all are at now, as far as like your business and everything, and what y'all have done with it so far, from what I've seen. Where do y'all want to go with it?
So we actually have changes, big plans that we have that most of it we don't want to talk about. So right now we did add the stage, and we are going to have having more live music. We're going to have more events that we want to do, just fun events, even things like karaoke, trivia night, that kind of thing. We even have a video game thing, a night for video games.
We're also trying to
what's the video game thing? Hold up.
Every Thursday we'll have video games, like a different video game.
We did Rock Band, Mario Kart, stuff like that. So we've had all these ideas, and we're still building on them, you know, and we're open to feedback. That's what's so great. That we'll listen.
I know it's still early, but I like to ask this to everybody that starts a business from the ground up. You mentioned earlier that you started the business, but you still have your 9 to 5. A lot of people do that. Me and my dad did the same thing. I mean, he just did that and I have 9 to 5 but do you see anywhere in the near future, or have you thought about like when you can let go of the 9 to 5 and dedicate yourself to the bar, and that will sustain the both of you? Like, is that in the near future? Or
honestly, that's not something I even want. So I know most people, I don't know if you want to say we're not as ambitious or whatever, but I'm very happy with my 9 to 5. I don't want to leave it. So we are making changes to Stokely's. We're going to make it better. There's going to be bigger changes in the middle of the year. But we also have other things planned. There's another project that we want to take on, just, you know, me and him, something completely different. So there's other things that we want to do. But as far as letting go of my 9 to 5, I would never do that. I like what I do. This is just stuff. Honestly, Stokely's is just, for me, it's become like a fun thing. It's fun for us. We don't have to make it music, you know, we don't have to, because when we first opened, it wasn't music related. It is now. Like, we have a lot of stuff going on. We did it because that's what he enjoys, that's what we enjoy. So...
And it gives us great joy to see the fans of music of the local scene. Because one thing is to say I support the local musicians and artists. There's a whole different thing to go to their
That's another thing that I was gonna tell you, man. And another reason why I wanted to bring y'all on was because I don't think y'all see how much support y'all give to local artists, to being an avenue for us, whether we be comedians or musicians or bands or whatever. Because here in the Valley, we need those kind of avenues that we don't have. You know what I'm saying? So with Stokely's, I know, because I've seen through social media, you have people there. You were saying earlier, some people know us, you know, by name, and you know, Stokely's is becoming, I mean, not only a business but a brand within Edinburg and outward, you know. But the biggest thing is that, again, to local artists, it's an avenue to where you're allowing people that don't necessarily have a huge name yet,
Yeah.
but they have a place to go express their artistic ability.
And we're actually focusing more and more on that.
Yeah.
Which we didn't really anticipate, but we're trying to get that more out there. So, and we're looking for everybody that wants to come out, regardless of whatever genre they play or whatever outlet, whatever, whether it's poetry, whatever, but it's mostly music. But even genre-wise, like, we're open to everything. So anybody that's interested, we want to be that place where they can come out, and whether they have a lot of experience under the belt or not, just starting out, we'd love for them to come and play.
It's just like a...
Can I give y'all another idea?
Yeah.
I started laughing, I'm sorry.
A stripper pole.
Yeah, we've heard that. We've heard that before.
A stripper pole.
I have text messages I can show you.
Mm-hmm.
And I told a friend of mine, I was like, let's just put it up there and see what she says, because it's not like, it's just gonna be up there and people are gonna be like, well,
where did I go? I went to a bar somewhere. I don't think it was here. San Antonio.
was it out of place?
No. I went to a bar in San Antonio, and they had poles on the bar.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I got there, I said that I don't drink, right? But I was sitting by the bar or whatever. So like I was sitting there, and I was like this. I was like, what the fuck is the pole? And then I looked this way, and there was another pole. So I asked the bartender, I was like, yeah, bro, why you got some big ass poles? Like, it's a strip joint. I mean, I don't see no strip. He was like, oh, see, what happens is, like, we serve drinks, and normally, like, if they don't have to pay for the drink, they have the choice of getting on the pole and dancing a song. So I was like, ha ha ha, and I thought he was joking. No, motherfuckers really do get on the pole and don't pay for the drink, and that's how they pay.
What do you mean they don't pay for the drink? Because customers will give them the cash for dancing, or how does it go?
The way it goes is yeah. So they have like a tip jar, and then whatever they dump in there, then they use for like the drink or whatever. But the thing is that there's two rules. Anybody can do it, meaning a man or a woman.
Uh-huh.
You just gotta keep it close. You can't.
I wonder what happens if you don't get any money, any tips.
Oh, I was about to say. I thought you were gonna say. I wonder what happens if you take your clothes off.
Same thing. Shame.
Yeah, but normally, and believe it or not, I mean, it was fucking San Antonio.
Because some people you don't want them to strip.
It was San Antonio, man. But believe it or not, there was a lot of fucking people that actually just in that we were there from like 11 at night to 2 in the morning, and just in that time span, there was a shitload of people that
you saw them dance.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I was thinking, motherfuckers ain't gonna, they don't get it, and I just started seeing, and then the more they drank, the more they did it.
This is where I can use that analogy that he was using against you, and I'm not going against you. I love the way you think.
You clearly,
but you can be like looking at a motherfucker and be like, I can forgive you for this. I'm not gonna forget this shit that I just saw.
Yeah, but I mean,
and neither will Instagram.
I remember because kind of what you were saying, or I don't know if it was you that said it. You don't want to see some people strip. I found out that night that however they built those fucking poles, they were sturdy, because there was this one lady. And she got on there, and I was afraid. I was like, either the pole gonna go down or the bar is gonna go down. You know what I mean? But she got up there, and she handled that shit like a champ. And guess what? She got tipped.
I was gonna say, I was not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
I bet she got.
Yeah,
tipped.
she got tipped or whatever. So anyway, I mean that's something that I saw when I was in San Antonio. And what I was gonna say with that was that it was fun me as a spectator, like it was funny and it was fun. The guy said, I mean, you want to do it? I was like, you're not getting my crippled ass up. I'm dead. Your insurance is not big enough, bro. I guarantee you. But yeah, it was something, and my point to that was that in a way, it kind of draws more people to like that bar because it's a fun environment. Clearly, people were doing it because they enjoyed it. Oh, that was the other thing I was gonna say. There was other people that had money to pay for drinks, and they were just doing it for fun.
For fun.
You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's why the stripper thing.
Just picturing some fucking just pent up motherfucker going like, well, if you're going to make me do it, we're not making you do it. Sit back down. No, I can feel the pressure.
Yeah.
Well, if we do, we'll make sure, and if we do, we'll make sure and give you credit.
Oh, I'm not saying
Why does that poll say Freddy's poll on it?
I was about to say I'm not saying I would get up on it, but I'm just saying it would be.
And most definitely get yourself one that's braced at the floor and the ceiling.
Yeah, for sure. You don't want to tip that shit over and then.
You want to anchor that in the foundation.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to enjoy watching that. Just all I could see is just the
major
liability issue. Yeah, like somebody's gonna fall off that shit.
Okay. So to that, when the people going back to the San Antonio thing, because I thought of that too. I was like, dude, that's a liability.
Yeah.
So what they do, people that decide to do that, they signed a waiver. And they're
drunk when they sign it.
I mean, it wasn't a long fucking contract, right? It was a small waiver, just basically saying if something happens, you can't sue.
I feel like they're just praying that you don't find a competent lawyer because if your establishment is set up that you're kind of encouraging them to do that, like you've gone above and beyond at that point. You know what I mean?
But I'm pretty sure they had good lawyers. I mean, for them to have that, continue to do it, either nothing's ever happened, or they have a pretty good legal.
There's no way somebody hasn't fallen off yet. Somebody is bound to have fallen off by now.
But yeah, because I did think of the liability.
That's the kind of place that cuts you off after 2 cocktails. Bastards.
Maybe. But yeah, man, a stripper pole, and make sure that somebody signs their life away before they get.
We'll take it into consideration.
She's like, no, we're not.
That's all I'm looking at.
In life and in this podcast, Freddy has been trying to fit strippers in for a long ass time while denying he's doing it. But
that's actually a true fucking story.
We'll figure out a way to get some sort of party going up.
I actually.
You know how you get strippers to fit, Freddy? You find flexible strippers. We're actually coming up on the hour right now. If y'all have, I know you got the Facebook. What else?
Oh yeah, this is the part of the podcast where y'all plug in any plugs that you have as far as your social media, or if you have any shows that are coming up at your establishment. I mean, normally we have artists, so if they have shows that are coming up, but at your establishment, y'all have events too. So if you have anything that's coming up, this is where you flush it all out.
This will be coming out the 13th, so anything after that.
Well, okay, so we do have the Facebook. We're really going to start posting on Instagram. We have Snap. We just added Stokely'sBar.com, and it's mostly for it's easier to keep track of what's coming up. There's a calendar on there, an events page, because like I said, we're trying to do something several times a week, whether it's game-based or karaoke or live music. So that'll be a little bit easier, especially for those who don't have Facebook. We took a little breather, I guess you want to say, from live music, but now we're trying to really get back in it. So we're trying to get live music every Friday and Saturday. So I don't know, it's coming out after the 13th, you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'd have to look at the calendar to see. But like I said, just Stokely'sBar.com or Facebook, and there's going to be live events every.
Really excited about it. I can't understate that. Not just because we've worked so hard at it, but because we worked so hard in collaboration with artists, with musicians, with them giving us feedback and giving us ideas. And obviously, not everything can come to fruition. I mean, you guys have been there before when someone can, let me tell you what you really need, and you're like, okay, give me a budget for it. I want to hear all these great ideas. But people have come up to us and told us these great ideas, and now we're responding, and we can see them responding in excitement. We love being up on that stage. We love the vibe. The sound is amazing. Just the feedback that we're getting. So we got some great stuff coming up. Check out the calendar. Jazz duos. We got some blues coming. Great blues music coming up in April.
We're gonna have a whole weekend in April to celebrate his birthday.
I still want the stripper pole. I'm still not getting on it though.
You know what? If we do get it, we might make that a condition, like just to make it worthwhile.
You gotta get on it.
Well, then fuck the stripper pole.
You're gonna sign a very extravagant waiver too.
Real quick, what's the time? Because I always like to ask this question to everybody that comes on.
We are at about an hour.
Okay, so really quick, if you can, I know it's probably impossible, but if you can, in 60 seconds to maybe a little bit more, if you could, because y'all are business owners, y'all have a local bar, if you could make a change in the world or the community doing what you do, what would it be?
More charity events, honestly. In the world, no. Local, I like doing stuff local. Community, especially giving to things that you know it's going to go to the community and not to somebody else's pocket.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do another family-oriented business, and hopefully with that we can do a lot more charity than we could with Stokely's, because it's very hard to do a lot of charity with a cigar bar. You know, some places don't want to work with you.
Nice. Yeah.
We came across that.
We came because I had that one friend that wanted to sponsor the show,
but not
he was
because
like,
we weren't a bar. He
was like, hey, it's my church and it's a bar. So.
But we do stuff constantly. Like next month is Easter. We always do Easter baskets.
And the photos of that.
So it's always something.
Yeah, and working with the charities and what she just mentioned. But also, I would add to that, working with kids. Like, I think we always talk about supporting the arts, supporting local talent, but those are the guys that are going to replace us. So if this was our business, we're training our replacements so that we can say, I'm ready to move on up, but I need someone to take this place, take this mantle. So having like maybe charity events or contests where like, kind of like Last Comic Standing Junior, like with kids doing that. Or like what I saw someone do recently with a barbecue smoking contest or grilling contest where it was kids doing it. And their logo was, and this was one of our sponsors queuing it up, they said, preparing tomorrow's pitmasters today. You like great barbecue. You go up north in Texas, North Texas, East Texas, you hear about all these joints that you got to go to in Austin. Here you hear about a few, and there's some good ones. But this place, that's our thing. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
Meat, fire, The same thing with that. Having little kind of talent shows for the kids where they can come on and play an instrument and just give them recognition. That kind of stuff, I think, speaks volumes, because now it says that you're planting seeds as well. You're not just trying to take care of now, you're looking at tomorrow.
And just to repeat something we've come across several times on this, especially for anybody who's trying to improve the local scene or make some dent in the valley in some way. By all means, use the outside money to raise up the local productivity. Don't use the local productivity to make the outside money. You know what I mean? And that's, by the way, thank y'all for having a smoking bar. Just, I was going to bring that up earlier, but just, I'm assuming that's got to be a labor of love just because all the hoops that you have to jump through to maintain that. God bless you. I don't feel right walking into a bar sometime and I can smell the bleach they've used to clean the bathroom with. I want stale cigarettes. God damn it. That's just me though. But yeah, so Stokely's.com, Stokely'sBar.com.
Stokely'sBar.com, and then Facebook.com/Stokely's.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, and if there's anything...
Do y'all have an Instagram?
We're barely going to start it. We have it, but we haven't started posting it yet. We're going to start doing a lot more of that.
Next thing you know, you'll be investing in camera equipment.
Yeah.
JD will be in the back just streaming.
You should see my
How should you be here?
That's what I've been looking at. Sounds good.
You got to do what you got to do. Freddy.
Y'all can find me everywhere on social media across the board. On Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And Freddy G.
Thanks for inviting us, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, this was fun. This was fun. Yeah. You can find me at hatfieldstandup at gmail.com, as well as Hatfield Standup on Facebook and Twitter. You can listen to any episode, any audio version of any episode at shoutengine.com/bouncing brains, as well as on Stitcher under Bouncing Brains. You can also watch the video version on YouTube. Search Bouncing Brains, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We've caught a couple new subscribers in the past month. Thanks to y'all. What else? We ain't on iTunes yet, and that shit burned down. Apple Podcast. Go fuck yourself. Anyway, that's thank you folks for listening. Thank you both of you for coming in. This was fun.
Thank you.
It's the quietest Friday night I've had in a long time.
And until next time, keep it tight.